What's up, football heads? Welcome back to that show. I am Kyle. He is Cesar, joining us today for our first ever playoff edition of Noob Football Picks. We have the Buffalorian himself, Tanner Moody, friend of the show, our first ever guest picker. Tanner, welcome aboard. Do you
Thanks
have
for
anything to
having me.
say for this incredible honor of being the inaugural guest picker for
Yeah,
playoff football?
go Bills.
Fair enough. Caesar, you have anything to say before we
All I
fire
say
this
is
up?
I love the Bills Mafia, so yeah, go Bills in the AFC. Stay over there, we'll be over here.
Fair
All right, let's
enough.
fire this out hot. It's been a few weeks. I apologize. It's the holidays. Fucking deal
Yeah,
with it.
the 6-month-old baby, holidays, it's tough. People are tired from missing families and stuff. So you don't have to apologize anymore.
Off rip, I will say I think it's very interesting that the first three playoff games that are going to be played this year are the AFC games. Very weird scheduling. I don't know why they did that, but I'm
It
just
is
going to go in
strange.
order of the games. So we're going to blow through the AFC and then we'll blow through the NFC. And if there's time, we're going to play a little game at the end, see how that goes. But first off, we got the 11-6. I almost said San Diego, Los Angeles Superchargers, the 5 seed, headed to Houston to take on the Houston Texans, 10-7, winners of the worst division in football, probably the AFC South. Chargers, Texans, Caesar. Kick us off. Who you got in this one and why?
Listen, the Texans have not looked really good. CJ Stroud does not look the way he has looked in the past. Last season was a lot better for him and the Texans. This season, they have struggled. And this year's about Harbaugh. It's not the Chargers. It's the Los Angeles Harbaughs, and I'm picking the Chargers for that reason. He's
Expert
taking this.
analysis.
He's taking this team from just charging constantly to being in the playoffs. So I have faith that they can beat the Texans.
Tanner, how you feel about this matchup?
I'm with you on all that. Actually, I think that Herbert's been like in the conversation for so long now that like it's starting to feel like a joke to me. Just because they never did anything with any of that, and it felt like he always came up short of being the spectacular version of himself that everyone kind of wanted him to be. But I sort of feel like it's starting to feel a little more defined now, and I have more faith in Harbaugh, the Chargers, than I do in whatever's going on with the Texans. I mean, they've got some major injuries. CJ Stroud, I saw this thing that was like, since this photo of him like talking to Caleb Williams, like giving him a pep talk or whatever after beating him, and Caleb Williams' numbers are better. You know what I mean? So, like with the Bears, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. There's just been a decline in confidence there. So I'm going Chargers.
All week I've been on the Chargers for probably 2 months now. I've been on the whoever plays the Texans, you're basically getting a bye in the first round. And coming into today, I want to pick the Texans. I don't have a good reason for this, but I want to pick the Texans. But I looked up the Texans have an outstanding pass defense. They lead the league in defensive completion percentage allowed, second in the league in interceptions with 19, behind only my Minnesota Vikings, who of course have 24. And this could be the key because you know me. These Muppets out here talking about Justin Herbert. He's a top 5 quarterback. He's not. Get over it. He's not. He has the talent to be, but he's
Here
not.
we go again.
Has he been good? Yes. Is he supremely talented? Yes. Do I believe in Jim Harbaugh and Jim Harbaugh's ability to whisper into quarterbacks' ears and turn them into the best versions of themselves? Absolutely. But what's he done in the playoffs? We ain't seen him do anything. He couldn't put a point on the board in the second half against the Jaguars a couple years ago. So the temptation is here to pick the Texans because I think defensively they have what they need to befuddle the Chargers a little bit. But I like the Chargers defense. I like Jim Harbaugh. And, I mean, one of the LA teams has to win, right? We know it ain't going to be the other one. So I am going to pick the Chargers. I'm going to stick where I've been for weeks now. But the temptation is that the Texans' pass defense can get this done. We just need to see C.J. Stroud kind of come around somehow. But their offensive line is just—it's not good, and the Chargers can get after the passer. So I'm on the Chargers.
It's a very educated choice.
Is it? I don't know if it is. But
I mean, you're
listen,
the only ones
I got
talking about
nothing
stats.
against Justin Herbert. I got nothing against Justin Herbert other than the fact that these people continue to beat their chest that he's a top 5 quarterback. I think that's ridiculous.
Well, that's
Goff's
kind of
better. Sam Darnold, despite whatever happened last week, Sam Darnold's better this year. Baker Mayfield. Like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So he needs to come out and prove that he can be the guy and win this game. And they got the best matchup in the first round for any team because the Texans they're not clicking right. So I'm not going to get crazy and pick them.
And that's kind of where I was going with that too. Is like I feel like this year they have more of a solid case for all of that yapping about Herbert than they had probably previously. That doesn't mean that he's top 5. I agree, but
I mean, he's being motivated.
I think he's finding his place within the system, and it's not just about him. Obviously, I think that system is getting a little more solidified. I don't think it's going beyond this weekend, but we'll see what happens.
I mean, he's getting motivated constantly. So Harbaugh believes in him, or at least he pretends to be. But I believe Harbaugh is being honest. He does believe in him. He calls him the beast. And that's probably gives him a little bit of a edge for him to actually play better. So I believe that's why they're going to win this game. I believe in Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh has what it takes to make sure that his team gets further than it has ever gone before. Even if that's just winning this round, and like you said, Tanner, being eliminated next round, that's still better than what they did last year. So go for that.
I think the key here is, like I said, the Texans 19 forced interceptions on defense. Chargers, Justin Herbert has only thrown 3 interceptions all season. So you got good on good. Who's good is going to will out. If Justin Herbert takes care of the ball, Chargers are going to win the football game. Is that it?
Caesar had me saying Harbaugh.
Hey, listen. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, all right?
You said it
Who's
first,
got it
and then
better
I
than
said
us?
it.
Nobody. Or I don't fucking know what they say. Some Chris
Who's got it better
shit.
than us? Nobody.
All right.
And no matter what happened, anyone know what the score? As we are recording, I believe the Ohio State game is still on, but it doesn't matter what happens in that game because it's still
I was going to ask what the
over
score
1,000 days since the Ohio State University has beaten my Michigan Wolverines. Thank you, Jim Harbaugh.
Where's
It's
Michigan
tied
in the
14-14 right now. No, but they beat Alabama in a bowl game.
No.
And they won the Natty last year. They are the reigning, defending, undisputed national champions of football.
They ain't defending shit anymore.
Reigning, undisputed national champions for at least another week or so. So deal with it. All right. Let's move on. Now we go from a game. I think most people are on the Chargers and the Texans. I don't know how many it is, but every time the Texans have made the playoffs, they have played the 4:30 game on Saturday, the first game of the playoffs.
Yeah, I saw that. That's weird.
Well, because it's like we got to get the engines revving, and we don't want this dog shit game, in the middle of the good stuff.
Do we know real quick? Do we know who's favored in that? In that matchup?
In Chargers Texans?
Yeah.
I mean, definitely the Chargers, but let me get it.
Okay. I wasn't sure. For some reason, I thought I don't know.
Chargers are favored by 3 points. Over under is 41.5 total points.
Bet the under.
Maybe. I do have the under.
I don't believe that's going to be a high. I don't believe that's going to be a high scoring game by both teams. I think that's going to be a defensive game.
I agree.
All right, moving on. We got the AFC North clash, the 10-7 Steelers, who were in control of the division almost the entire year and then completely fell apart at the end. Headed to Baltimore, 12-5 Baltimore Ravens. We know Lamar has historically struggled with the Steelers, but he won the last game. I think we would all agree the Steelers are a better team, especially right now, than the Steelers. But it's a divisional matchup. You got to throw the records out the window. Caesar, Steelers, Ravens, who you got?
I'm picking the only team that has showed me that they are still able to do stuff even when things go bad their way. I'm picking the Steelers. I don't care. People are gonna say, "Oh, you're fucking insane. You're fucking crazy." I don't care. The Steelers have been the most consistent team in that division all year. More consistent than the Ravens. The Ravens have struggled, and even when the Steelers have struggled, don't look at me that way. Even when the Steelers have struggled, they still find a way to remain calm. Even if they don't win, they bounce back the week after. It just so happens that the last game, it was just the last game of the regular season. And they're going to bounce back, and they're going to beat the Ravens. You'll see. Trust me.
Here's the thing.
Trust me.
Tomlin and the Steelers do this shit every fucking year, right? Like,
Yeah,
there's
they
like,
do.
they can't, like, they can't win more than like 9-10 games, right? Like, so I don't think that says anything. I think falling off at the end says less than people might think. I think it's a divisional matchup. No matter what, that's going to be a different kind of ball game than people think. Whatever expectations you have, I mean, they always are, right? And in the playoffs are even different, more different. So I don't think that it's as simple as, Steelers have been falling off. Ravens have, all this generational talent. Yes, all true. But I'm going Steelers because fuck the Ravens. Also,
Wishful thinking.
no, I genuinely though, like obviously my brain is telling me the Ravens are winning this game, easy, but that's not how football fucking works. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that the pieces are in place for the Ravens' confidence to be at an all-time high. They just get all these fucking all-pro selections, like all this bullshit with their
Shit that doesn't
season
matter.
ending on their season ended on a pretty good note, and the Steelers went the opposite direction. I think they have way more of a chip on their shoulder. I think that they have way more at stake emotionally speaking. I think that the Ravens fall the fuck apart, and so does Lamar Jackson in the first round of the playoffs pretty consistently. So I'm going Steelers, man. I think it's a divisional matchup that goes the other way.
What the hell are you people talking about? This motherfucker talking about, the Steelers, they lose a game, they bounce back. They were 10-3. What's their record, Caesar? 10-7. Is that bouncing back or is that losing and losing and losing and losing? Oh, they've been the most consistent team throughout the year. How are they the most consistent team? They lost 7 games. The Ravens won 12 games. They won the division. What are we talking? Oh, the Ravens, they fall apart in the first round of the play. They didn't fall apart in the first round of the playoffs last year. And guess what?
That's last year.
Guess what? Who has the number 1 run defense in the league? That would be the Baltimore Ravens, which means Najee Harris, he ain't doing shit. Jalen Warren, he ain't doing shit. Russell Wilson's so damn old, he ain't even going to try to do shit. Russell Wilson hasn't played good in over a month. The offense can't do anything. The Ravens Lamar could take the day off. He could show up in board shorts and slides and sit on the bench with some real cool sunglasses looking fly as fuck, not play a single down, and the Ravens defense could score more points in this game than the Pittsburgh offense. The Ravens are favored by 9.5 points, and they're favored by 9.5 points for a reason, because they are a demonstrably, significantly better team, better football team than the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers defense, the last month and a half, almost 2 months, has not been the same. You look at their stats, they are padded by the fact that they had the best scoring defense for the first half of the season and then completely fell off. They can't win. I understand it's a divisional game. You got to throw the records out the window, obviously. Lamar, the history with the Steelers, all that. But we're talking, the Ravens, they fall apart in the playoffs. They can't get it done in the playoffs. Lamar can't get it done in the playoffs. You know the last time the Pittsburgh Steelers won a playoff game? 2016. 2016. The Steelers ain't beating the Ravens in Baltimore. It's not going to happen. Ravens, I'm not going to say they're going to cover the 9.5, but the Ravens got this one. Light work for Lamar, and that spells doom for your Buffalo Bills should they beat the Broncos, because I don't know if the Bills can stop that running game.
Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. I have no comment at this time. We'll get to it.
Listen, I have one last question in regards to this game. Tanner brought it up. It's a good point. So I'm going to ask a question that references that. Who has more to prove? Does Lamar Jackson have more to prove? Or does Mike Tomlin, as the head coach, have more to prove?
Listen, I love Coach T as much as anybody. I will always be grateful to him for setting the foundation for maybe the best run defense that we've seen in the last 20 years in the mid-2000s Minnesota Vikings. Thank you, Mike T. Thank you, Coach T. I appreciate you. I love you. He's got a Super Bowl. He's got a Super Bowl. Lamar is the one under the gun. Lamar's got the 2 MVPs. Lamar's the one that the narrative, as you guys have pointed out, is he can't get it done in the playoffs. Lamar has more to prove. I think by beating Pittsburgh in the first round, a team that we know he's historically struggled against, that gives him a little shot in the arm. Then the only team that they're going to play in the second round is the Bills. Spoiler alert, I'm picking Buffalo over Denver. But they're set up to beat the Bills, and then they got on their minds week 1, Kansas City Chiefs, Isaiah Likely, the toe on the line, that whole bullshit. And then they go into Kansas City and they handle business. I think if the Ravens are either going to lose this game, which ain't going to happen, or they're going to the Super Bowl. That's not a prediction. That is a spoiler.
The only hope we have for the Chiefs not going to the Super Bowl is the Buffalo motherfucking Bills. Not the fucking Ravens. Not the Ravens. They will crumble at Arrowhead. Fuck them. The Bills have proven to win at Arrowhead in the playoffs.
All right.
Crumbling.
Listen. Mike Tomlin has 2 quarterbacks right now. He has Russell Wilson.
Which means you got no quarterback, son.
Listen to me. Hold on. We've seen all season how Tomlin likes to switch between Wilson and Fields. He just keeps switching them during the game. Not because one's playing particularly bad or something. I'm not really sure what the strategy is. I think there's something that's brewing for this game between Justin Fields. Because that's my prediction. Justin Fields is going to see some snaps in this game, and he's going to do some stuff that Tomlin himself has been planning all season.
So discount Lamar Jackson and washed up, can't do it anymore, never was Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson. They're somehow going to outplay.
See, I don't think it's discounting
MVP Lamar Jackson.
It's not discounting Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is one of the greatest that there is playing the game, and maybe possibly ever. Like, I have a lot of respect for Lamar Jackson. All I'm saying is that it's not always that fucking simple. Like, they had a remarkable year, and they had all these all-pro selections. They had 9 fucking Pro Bowlers. Like, they did everything right in terms of the context of the season. The Steelers didn't necessarily do that. And that's what I was referring to as, like, having more to prove. Like, the Ravens are on top of the world right now, and the Steelers are not. So you have more to fight for in the sense that you can knock off the king and see, like, within your division, that's who that is right now, right? So I just feel like there could be that hunger. Tomlin's a dog. I don't know what'll happen. I think it might be an upset.
They haven't won a playoff game in 8 years, man.
Hold on.
Hey, it's the first time for everything.
we haven't even mentioned the Steelers' defense.
Yeah, they've been playing like ass for a month and a half. There's a reason we haven't mentioned it, because they got no juice in the tank.
They've been resting for the past month.
They have not been. The story is multiple players came out ahead of last week talking about how, when 10 guys are doing the right thing, but one guy's not doing the right thing, that could screw things up. They got issues on the defense in terms of continuity and cohesiveness. Offensively, they suck. Najee Harris, people could say, oh, he's had 1,000 yards in each of his first however many seasons. It's a 17-game season. That's less than 60 yards a game. And guess what? You're going up against the best run defense in football. They're not going to run the ball. They're not going to pass the ball. Defensively, they ain't stopping Lamar. They ain't stopping King Henry. What hope do they have? I guess Zay Flowers might not play. Guess what? Doesn't matter. You got 2 stud tight ends. They're just going to run it down their throats. Control the clock. It's simple. Simple.
That best defense against the run did nothing against the Eagles.
Light work. Lamar is hungry to prove himself. He's past losing in the first round. Next on the agenda is he's got to beat the Chiefs.
But they had all those pieces that you just mentioned. They had all of that in their first matchup this season, and they fell the fuck apart.
Yeah.
So how are you so confident is all I'm saying. How are you so confident that won't happen again?
The Steelers were a different team at that point in time. You got to look at the schedule. You got to look at the schedule. They were a much different team back then. I don't profess to know all the reasons why the offense is completely falling apart and why the defense is having cohesion issues and just openly, willingly talking to the media about how some guys aren't doing their job. Like, that's in-house shit. Plus, let's say Russell Wilson dials the clock back, winds it back, vintage Russ, let Russ cook. Who's he throwing the ball to? George Pickens is going to be fighting with fucking Marlon Humphrey 40 yards downfield like a bozo. Came into the last week of the season, and how many yards did he need to get 1,000 yards? You know how many yards he got? -1, because he's not locked in, because he's a head case. They got no options on offense. I'm telling you, I would not be shocked if the Ravens' defense and special teams outscores Pittsburgh's offense in this game.
Russell Wilson's gonna run more yards than Lamar Jackson. He's gonna rush for more. That's my prediction.
Russell Wilson will rush for more yards than Lamar Jackson if Lamar Jackson shows up in board shorts and slides and very cool sunglasses and sits on the sideline the entire game. That is the only way that's going to happen. Or if he decides, you know what, I'm so damn good, I don't need to run the ball. I'm going to turn around and hand it to King Henry, and I'm going to slice and dice the way down the field and not even attempt.
He ain't the king anymore.
He don't have to be. He don't have to be. Ain't nobody doubting the greatness of Saquon Barkley, but the man still put up over 1,900 rushing yards at the age of 30.
I mean, I would argue that they are equally as good as each other. And neither
one of them is good as prime Adrian Peterson, so let's not even get into that.
I mean, but here's the thing. When Saquon is hurdling people backwards, which is the most incredible thing I've ever fucking seen in my life, King Henry is literally plowing people over. So it's just a very different strategy to the same end game.
He is a monster among boys.
Henry's a stallion.
Like Pee-wee football out there. He's a
Henry's a stallion galloping into the fucking field, running through people. And Saquon Barkley is more of a finesse type of athletic. He's just gonna fucking find the hole. He's gonna dodge and dive. Like he's gonna fucking get it done. Henry's just a strong motherfucker. He's gonna do whatever he gets to do because nobody can stop him.
He's got the power.
Yeah. All I'm gonna say is I'm glad I didn't pick the Texans, so I wasn't the first person to make a stupid ass pick on this show. So congratulations to you two. Bozo picks of the week: Steelers over Ravens. You are.
I cannot wait for you to next week to say I can't believe the fucking Steelers won.
That ain't gonna happen.
Yo, I'm gonna just fox you and laugh.
It ain't gonna happen, dude. I'm telling Lamar is past this.
I'm gonna do the Grinch.
We are now past this game. There's nothing left to be said, but we are now on to your Buffalo Bills, 13-4. Got to rest the starters. Got to allow the New England Patriots to play themselves out of the number 1 overall pick. I don't know if it matters. I think they still may end up getting their guy. We'll see how things go.
Yeah.
But they play host to the 10-7 Denver Broncos, who got a gift from the Chiefs, who said, you know what? We're just not going to play anybody. Fuck Cincinnati. And I would like to reiterate that from deep in my heart. Fuck Cincinnati and fuck the FanDuel Instagram social media manager. I win, you lose, you suck. I was right. The Bengals ain't it. And guess what? Oh, could they go on a run? Could Joe Burrow lead the Bengals on a run? I guess we'll never know. So Broncos, Bills. Tanner, I'll start with you on this one. Who you got?
I mean, obviously, I got the Bills. I do think it will be like I by no means think it'll just be an easy light work kind of game. I think that the obvious is that they lead the league in sacks, right? And we lead the league in not allowing
Not
sacks.
sacks.
Yeah. is that a specific stat? I don't. And so like that's sort of the rock and a hard place crash there that I think will be very interesting to see who wins out on that battle, because I think that'll be the decider of the game in some ways, just because I do think it'll be offensively probably high scoring, honestly, because our defense is just like every now and then we have a game where it's like, see, that's what I remember early on in the season. That was tight, and then but for the most part, especially during the latter part of the season, it's like, oh my god, like Josh Allen just has to go fucking superhero mode and score 40 something points every game in order to win these motherfuckers, because our defense is just allowing so much shit. Like we just keep playing this zone that like doesn't work, right? And then we don't adjust and we don't adjust, and they just keep hitting the same holes. It's just maddening to watch. But anyway, offensively, Bo Nix is, I think, gonna be a league leader at some point in time. I mean, he's a rookie. I think he shows a lot of fucking promise. And that what he's doing this season as a rookie, that's hard to do. I mean, there's only a few rookie quarterbacks that have done that. I mean, like even like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, like they didn't necessarily look like that year one, right? Like you saw it, you saw the potential in it, but leading his team to the playoffs, they just barely made it against the Chiefs team who didn't play anybody, but they still won like 600-0. So fuck them. I think that they're gonna put up a tough match. I don't see any way that the Buffalo Bills lose this game. I think that Josh Allen has way too much heart to let a fucking rookie quarterback topple this season that he's had, because despite what anyone says, stats don't fucking matter. Josh Allen is the league MVP because he brought this Buffalo Bills team, this specific Buffalo Bills team, to the 2 seed and beat both 1 seeds in the process. So I think that it's just we've gotten to this point under his specific direct leadership. He's not letting this opportunity pass him up at this stage in the playoffs. Go Bills.
Cesar, what you think?
The Denver Broncos and Bo Nix have a bright future ahead of them, but that's not going to start this week. The Buffalo Bills are going to win this game. It's going to be an interesting game because we're going to see, like Tanner said, what is, in my opinion, the league MVP in Josh Allen against one of the best rookies quarterback that I've seen since I've been a fan, in Bo Nix, against each other, and that's going to be a fun game to watch. The Bills, they have turned this franchise around, and they're doing great things. And it's not just a team. It's just like when you see the atmosphere of that stadium, when you see the fans, the Bills Mafia, there's just something different about them, about the franchise, about the fan base. They just feel, it feels like there's a lot of hope in the air, and for good reason, because they have a really good team right now. And I believe the Bills are going to get it done easily, even though it's going to be fun to see Bo Nix play against the Bills. I think the Bills are going to get this done easily, and they're going to move on to the next round. And Tanner, I hope to see you in your armor as a Buffalorian, because I'm rooting for you guys on the other side. Yeah, I'm rooting for you guys in the AFC. Like, I know I'm supposed to be objective, but that team just that Buffalo Bills team is just so full of hope and just fun. And it just has every bit of positive energy. It's coming out from that team, and I love seeing them play. So I'm picking Bills.
Go Bills.
Bo Nix is a system quarterback. And I don't say that as a bad thing. He was put into the best possible position for Bo Nix, and he has executed it tremendously. The thing with Bo Nix, he lacks high-end arm talent, and he's an excellent pre-snap diagnoser, but in the play, he has not gotten there quite yet as being as elite as he is diagnosing the play before the snap, not quite there after the snap. So, Tanner, to your point about them playing zone defense, while he has the ability to sit and pick apart zone, I think if you just move some shit around, you can befuddle Bo Nix and get him out of a rhythm. And I don't know what the weather's supposed to be like. I assume there was snow, is snow coming at some point here. I don't know what the wind factor is going to be. I think wind could be a huge issue for Bo Nix, which is another reason I think him being in Denver is a benefit is the ball. You get a little more under the ball at Mile High. But I think the biggest key for why the Bills are going to win this game is their biggest weakness, in my perception, has been the run defense. Broncos, not the greatest, in terms of their rushing offense. I believe they're 7th worst in yards per carry and 9th worst in total rushing touchdowns. So not that maybe their numbers come up a little bit because they're not playing a great run defense, but it's not like this is why I was saying that the Bills play the Ravens in the second round. It worries me for the Bills because you're dealing with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. You ain't dealing with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Bo Nix can run around. They got, I've liked Javonte Williams. He helped me win a fantasy championship when I came out of retirement a couple years ago. But there's nobody that scares you. There's nobody. You're not going into a game against the Broncos thinking we really got to watch the run. And then Sean Payton, being Sean Payton, is one of those guys he's always going to skew toward passing the ball. So I think if you could just play a little odd with your fronts, move some things around pre-snap on defense, and so Bo Nix doesn't know exactly what he's looking at before the ball is snapped, they should handle him. Obviously, they got some great cornerbacks in Pat Surtain, who might be the best in the league, and Riley Moss. Shouts out. He was the original white corner the year before your boy Cooper DeJean, but no disrespect to Cooper DeJean. But Riley Moss coming out of Iowa. But they got nice defensive pieces. I think maybe the under. I know the Bills are favored by 9.5, which, so were the Ravens, but in a playoff game, that's tough. I think Denver has what it takes to cover that. The over-under total is 47.5. I think if that's going to happen, it's going to be a Bills blowout. I don't see the Broncos putting up a ton of points on Buffalo's defense, even if it is a compromised defense. And I don't know. It's a rookie quarterback going into Buffalo in the first round. Come on.
Well, here's the thing. That's the other thing. It's coming to Buffalo has become very, very challenging for any team. And Chiefs are the 1 seed. I don't think Chiefs being the 1 seed this season really paints the full picture, but they came to Buffalo and it wasn't even really close. It wasn't like it was a blowout, but Bills controlled that game from start to finish. If that team, among all the other teams that have come to Buffalo this season, if they can't put a dent in that, the Broncos aren't going to do it. You know what I mean? It's better teams have failed to coming to Buffalo in these conditions, especially. The conditions are not going to be terrible at all, honestly. It's going to be 30 degrees, partly sunny. So it's I would prefer it being a little bit colder, honestly, because
how's the wind?
I don't think it's supposed to be super, super windy, but it's Orchard Park. It's going to be windy. That stadium as well is just prime wind swirl.
It's designed by that.
Bo
Nix Ducks from the former Oregon Duck.
Our new stadium is going to be way less windy, I think, from what I understand, which It's good and bad. I mean, I don't want our guys to deal with that shit either. But
I agree with everything Kyle said, except for one point. The Bills are not dealing with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry in the second round. They're going to be Russell Wilson.
That's not going to happen.
I know this is not the divisional show. I just real quick, like, you are absolutely correct, and like I would be lying if I said that was not a fear, and I would be lying if I said I didn't lay in bed late at night looking at all the possibilities of like how do we not play the Ravens in the playoffs, because I do not. But here, that's the other thing. I do not actually believe the Ravens are a better football team. I don't. I believe that they have all the pieces on like in their strengths. They have all the strength pieces that are the direct opposition of our weaknesses, right? Like they just have exactly what it takes for our specific weaknesses. So they scare me the most out of any team. But if push comes to shove, I mean, we're knocking those motherfuckers out of the divisional round, so it's okay. We can handle Henry. I mean he's proven otherwise.
It all starts with belief.
Remember that year, real quick, sidetrack, sorry. That year we were in Texas and we were watching the Bills-Titans game, and Derrick Henry was literally like we were undefeated at this point in the season and feeling great. Derrick Henry was literally, our guys were flying through the air. Like literally flying through the air, like on multiple occasions. It was horrendous to watch. But anyway, I am scared.
Way through your defense.
You're getting low again, C's. Just so you know.
Oh, my bad. I was saying that he was juggernauting his way through your defense.
Oh my god! Legitimately, exactly what was happening.
Any further points on Bills Broncos? Are we good to move on to the NFC, the National Football Conference?
Go Bills.
Sunday, 1:30 p.m.
The best
Pacific.
Conference
This year, for sure. 4:30. I mean, two really good. This is probably the best like overall playoff field that I can remember in quite a while. But the NFC is absolutely loaded.
I don't disagree.
1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. The 11-6 Green Bay Packers headed to the Link. Hostile confines take on the Philadelphia Eagles at 14-3. Jalen Hurts has not played or practiced in 2 weeks, but he is cleared to compete on Sunday. I still haven't heard anything about Jordan Love's elbow that took him out of that game, but we know what peak Malik Willis is capable of on this program. Packers, Eagles, Cesar, it's your birds. I'll let you go. Who you got, as if I need to ask?
Would it be fitting for us to leave last season behind, facing the first round of the playoffs, the first team that we faced this season, and beating them, and just going, hey, this is not last year. This is a new season. This is a new team. This is a new defense. This is a new offense. Yeah, it will be. It will be the best thing ever. But I will be lying if I said that I'm not nervous about the Green Bay Packers this season, especially since they got a little bit of momentum at the final stretch of the season.
I don't know. They kind of fell apart there at the end. They lost to the Bears. They lost to us.
The last game, yeah, but before that, they were solid.
Well, the week before that, the Vikings were fucking ragdolling them around until Jordan Love decided, you know what? Let me throw some accurate passes here in the fourth quarter. Maybe that might help. The Packers kind of fallen off a little bit.
What I'm confident about is the fact that the Eagles on week 1 were not the same Eagles after the bye. Our defense after the bye has been top notch, top of the league at various points, different categories. I believe the Eagles are going to win this game, and they're going to shut down the Green Bay offense easily. So I'm picking the Birds. Sorry, Jordan Love. Sorry to the Tunger fans. Sorry to the Cheeseheads. It's the cream cheese era. It's Philly all the way. Go Birds.
Fantastic.
Oh,
all right,
man.
Tanner, who you got? Eagles or Packers?
Well, Nick Sirianni shaved his head, so obviously the Eagles are winning. But I I think I have the Birds for sure, and my reasoning too is like, honest to God, like Caesar knows this, you know this, like I just fucking hate the Eagles. Like I just hate the Eagles. I don't know why, because they're not even in my fucking conference, but like
Very
I
hateable team.
like it's just not like I don't have any good feelings, but I do love you, Caesar. Despite
Appreciate it.
despite my best intentions, I want to hate you very much, just like the Eagles, but I don't. There's a part of that like I always like, now I think about the Eagles and you're the first person I think about. It's like, well, it'd be nice if they won for Caesar, I guess. But normally I will root against the Eagles. I will pick apart the elements that I think can cause their demise. In this case, I don't think Eagles are going super far in the playoffs personally, like for I guess some reasons I just stated, but like of like picking apart certain things. But I think that this year specifically, like there was a moment in like the early to middle part of the season where I was like, these motherfuckers might just drop off the face of the earth. Like with all this talent, they might just not do anything this season. And then Nick shaved his head. Everything changed. And no, but like the things that I've seen them do offensively, like I don't have a whole lot of love for Jalen Hurts either. I think that he's more systematic than he isn't. Honestly, like I just don't. I know this is controversial, not just among you, but like other people that I've had this conversation with. I don't know. There's something about him that doesn't like feel like he's the driving force, right? But like there are several driving forces on that team that are just powerhouse juggernauts. Saquon Barkley is one of them, obviously, but like,
I'm gonna let you finish, but I got a counter argument to that point. So find it later.
But Beyonce deserves the award. Okay. No, just that I just think that there's just a lot of elements. It's not like even like take my Bills, right? Like you take out Josh Allen, the whole fucking thing falls apart to dust. It crumbles to nothing. Like nothing. So like there's nothing McDermott can do. There's nothing anyone can do to get that team to the playoffs if Josh Allen isn't on that roster. So in the Eagles case, I don't think that's true. I think that there's a lot of
Kenny Pickett in there. They had a better backup, maybe.
But still, like I just think there's still things that you can do to squeeze out some wins. There's a lot of talent, great coaching in general. I think so. I think because of that, and Hurts is in. Like it's not that I don't think Hurts is a great player. It's just I don't know. I have weird, complicated feelings about it, but I still think with all those elements, they're going to probably dominate this game and maybe even the next one. I could see them having a great NFC championship matchup, but I could also see them go down divisional. This is wild card conversation, so I think they win.
I'm on the Eagles, and I hate these two teams more than any other teams in professional sports. And so this is a blessing in disguise because at least one of them is getting eliminated right off a rip. The first game of the season in Brazil, bad field. Jordan Love got hurt. It's the first week. People aren't playing in preseason. I'm not putting any stock in that. I'm picking the Eagles because they've proven they're a better team. Jalen Hurts or no Jalen Hurts, you got Saquon Barkley, man ran for 2,000 yards. You got the cyborg, A.J. Brown on one side. You got Smitty on the other side. Smitty's not going to drop another clutch ball ever again, probably.
Goddard,
you got Dallas Goddard. They're much better. Maybe not much, but I don't want to disrespect the Packers, but they are notably and clearly better in the trenches offensively and defensively. Again, no disrespect to the Packers. I love Rashawn Gary, former Wolverine, go Michigan. But the Packers are more beat up. Christian Watson's out. He's your man beater. Now, I do think Jalen Reed could go off here a little bit. Vic Fangio does prefer to play a zone defense. Jalen Reed has been much better against zone than man coverage this year, and he's still in the mix. Same for Romeo Dobbs, but you don't have that threat to take the top off. And this Jordan Love has shown all the potential in the world, but there's still a level of inconsistency there. It's notable to me because it always happens in Vikings games where he does fuck all for the first half, is kind of back and forth in the third, and then the fourth quarter they make this rapid comeback, and my heart rate gets elevated, and I have to debate jumping out of the window. Is me jumping out of the window going to help the juju in the game? I don't know, but he doesn't have that downfield quick strike ability with Christian Watson out with the ACL. Not that these other guys can't move the ball in chunks, but you don't have that like true deep threat to have to worry about. So I think Fangio is going to be able to get after the passer a little bit more. He's going to be able to send some more blitzes. I think their defensive line has played outstanding the last 2 months. And to Tanner's point, because it was the point a lot of people were making, is that point in the season where it's like, I don't know, it feels like the Eagles it's going to be the same thing as last year. They were 4-2. Like, at no point in this season have the Eagles been anywhere close to a bad football team. People just hate my boy Nick Sirianni, who has once again proven with the fourth highest win percentage of any coach in NFL history that you could say what you want about him. He could be a goof. He could be a fucking clown. But he's going to win some football games. And I think they're going to win this football game. I would not be shocked if the Packers pull this out because I have just an innate just burnt in fear of Green Bay that I always feel like they're going to pull some shit out. But I will say this relative to friend of the show, Adam Dobrovolsky and his beloved Dallas Cowboys. Green Bay made the playoffs last year as a 7 seed, and they beat the dog shit out of the Dallas Cowboys. They make the playoffs this year as a 7 seed. They got to play the Eagles. What would piss Adam off more than a repeat of the exact same scenario, except this time Green Bay gets their shit kicked in by the Philadelphia Eagles? And so he's already envisioned this in his mind, and I've never seen someone so good at manifesting the exact thing that they don't want to happen relative to football than Adam. So as the cherry on top, I'm taking the Eagles. Better run game. Again, with no disrespect to Josh Jacobs, who's a top 3 running back this year.
Yeah,
but guess what? Saquon's number 1. You got more healthy weapons on the outside. Again, I'll probably take Jordan Love over Hurts, considering the situation. Hurts hasn't played in a couple weeks, hasn't practiced in a couple weeks. I'm taking the Eagles offensive line. I'm taking the Eagles defensive line. I'm taking the Eagles secondary. Jair Alexander is out. He's not playing, and even if he was, we all know that deep down he's a bum. And he's ducking Justin Jefferson. This dude don't want none of the smoke. He don't want it. He might see the Ravens on the schedule and get the purples confused. Say, oh, I guess I can't play this week. Practice for like 2 months, but can't play because he's a head case. He's out. I'm taking everybody on the Eagles over the Packers except for the quarterback. But even then, like I said, Jordan Love has not been consistent. If Jordan Love plays full Jordan Love for 4 quarters, I would not be shocked to see them beat the Eagles. But
it's his throwing arm that's fucked, right?
Yeah, but there has been 0 stories on this whatsoever. I
read something today.
Schefter said that he might be ready, but he's still like struggling a little bit with it.
Well, if Pete Malik Willis plays, this is an entirely different story, and I'm picking the Packers by about 35 points. So I want that on the record.
I read this morning, that earlier in the week he was just like, yeah, I mean, I'm obviously playing. And then like on Wednesday he was like, we'll see. And he was struggling. So that's not a good sign. You know, the more practices you do, the more you're like, fuck, maybe I can't. So I would say, I mean, that's just going against them. I mean, obviously in your opinion, it's a good thing, but I don't see how.
In jocularity. They are undefeated when Peak Malik Willis starts the game.
When he starts. If he gets replaced, no. I wanna go back to something Tanner said about Jalen Hurts, and I think you echo his sentiment, Kyle. Yeah, Hurts, he is not the type of quarterback like, for example, Josh Allen is, who puts up points and stats. and MVP numbers. But he has proven something this season, especially after the bye week, and that's the ability to remain calm and do what is necessary to get the ball moving.
I think he's a great leader for that team.
Hurts is not that. That's my point. Hurts is not the type of quarterback to just, hey, look at me, look at how fucking good I throw this ball, look how fucking good I run this ball. He's more of like, hey, this is a team, this is what we need to do, this is what I'm seeing on the field defensively from these guys. I'm gonna hand over the ball.
He's a game manager.
Yeah, he is a game manager. Even though that's something that people they scoff at, but
that's important for a certain team. If you're a game manager on a team where you need to be the guy, then it's not going to work out.
He's playing his role well. Yeah, he's getting paid a lot of money. He's paying elite quarterback money. He's getting paid that amount of money. Some people say he doesn't deserve it. I disagree. I think that you play to what the team needs to play. If the team needs to be that type of quarterback, then you're doing your job well. And he was doing great. And you see how much the team needs him. We saw that during the Washington Commanders game late in the season. As soon as he got out, the team crumbled. The Commanders just fucking ran through. Offensively, they ran through them. Defensively, they were tired because the offense could not be on the field too long enough for defense to rest. So it is important. He is an integral part of that team. So it is very important that Hurts is playing this game. I'm confident and happy that he's playing this game and that he's going to be able to get it done. Malik Willis plays and starts. Yeah, he's undefeated. I don't care. I believe the Eagles are going to get this done.
All right. Should we move on?
Go Birds.
All right. Next up, we got what could be the most sneaky, intriguing matchup of the weekend. We got the 12-5 Washington Commanders headed to Tampa Bay to take on 10-7 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They handled business. They got it done. Baker Mayfield, when they needed him most, he like stepped over a Saints defender when they were down by like 10 points, fired up the boys, and then they just make a furious comeback. I'm telling you, you got to love Baker Mayfield, baby. You have to love this man. Tanner and I were talking about this, Cesar, before you got on. Baker Mayfield needs to be in the top 5 for MVP votes. Needs to be. He kept the fires burning when they needed him the most. Commanders, Bucks. Cesar, I'll go to you because Tanner's looking at his phone or something over there. Cesar, Commanders, Bucks.
I was getting a beer.
Either way, Cesar, Commanders, Bucks, two teams that have given the Eagles probably the most shit over the last few years. I know you have no love for either one of these, despite your love for our boy Baker Mayfield. Who you got?
Listen, both of these teams are on my shit list. Especially the Commanders. Fuck that team. Fuck Jaden Daniels. I don't give a shit. He's a rookie. Fuck that kid. But the Tampa Bay Bucks, man, last season they just crushed my hopes and dreams after that 1-and-out playoff sent by the Eagles. Baker Mayfield, he came out smelling salt. That his reaction, it told me that is not smelling salt. That's something else. That's some fucking bad sauce from Florida or something. I'll fucking Mayfield is motivated. He's got that team motivated and hyped. Yeah, Jaden Daniels and their Commanders, they're on a good run. Rookie quarterback, new coach, new owner. They just, they're riding high. I don't think they can get through the Commanders. I'm going with I don't think they can get through the Buccaneers. I'm going with Tampa Bay in this game.
You know what that means? That will set up in round number 2, Eagles versus the Bucks, the only team that seems to be able to beat the Eagles in the playoffs other than the Chiefs.
I know. But it doesn't matter. This team is a different team. Eagles team. I mean, it's a different
team. Year, different squad.
Yeah. So
the past doesn't matter.
It's a new game. Yeah, they beat us this season, but that was before the bye week. All right, that was before the bye week. So it's a new time, new playoff game. If that happens, I'm confident the Eagles will get it done. But that's divisional talk, like Tanner said. So I'll let Tanner go ahead.
All right, Tanner. Commanders, Bucks. Who you got?
I think that, like we did talk about, is Baker Mayfield. Caesar made a good point too about like he's a hungry man. He like deserves it in a lot of ways too. Like I just really like Baker. I think that um,
I don't.
he's had a great story in a lot of ways, and I think he's found his system with the Bucks, especially this season, and just that they've been able to get the job done, get to this position. So I like the Bucks. However, I think that one of these rookie QB all stars, we'll call them. One of them's gonna get the job done, and it ain't gonna be Bo Nix. I'm actually gonna go with the Commanders on this one.
Ooh.
I think they're gonna. I think it's gonna be a tight game. I think Baker's gonna put on a great playoff performance. Prove himself, prove his worth in that sense. But I just think that uh, I think Jaden Daniels is gonna rally. I think that there's gonna be some score changes in this game that are gonna be exciting, and I think that they come away with a win by 3, by a field goal in the end.
This is a potentially electrifying matchup, and I was questioning why. I mean, you got the Eagles and Packers; these are two historic franchises, exciting teams. I questioned putting them at 4:30, and then the Commanders Bucks in prime time. But then the more you think about it, especially to Tanner's point about lead changes, this should be a very exciting game. I believe these two teams played week 1, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, and I'm not going to kill airtime by looking it up right now. But I like the points. I don't know what the over under is, but I'm taking it. 50.5. It's high. I know at times, especially the Commanders have played some low scoring games, but you look at defensively, both of these teams giving up. Where is this? Giving up over 90 passer rating defensively. I think both these teams are going to be able to move the ball. Not bad run defenses, but not great. Where are the Commanders at? The Commanders actually not very good on the ground. I think Bucky Irving is going to do his thing. You know, we love Bucky Irving on this show. Rashad White shouts out my boy. Thank you for the fantasy football championship. He's going to do his thing on the ground. I think the ball is going to be moving on the ground. It's going to be moving through the air. I love Tanner's prediction of a bunch of lead changes. I think it's going to be an exciting game. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, Baker Mayfield, he's got the experience. He's won 2 playoff games for 2 different teams. People forget that he won the playoff game with Cleveland. I don't know how people forget that because it was like when Cleveland hadn't won a playoff game since they left and then were revitalized and brought back into the league, and they beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. Like Baker.
Is this his rookie year?
No, this was, I believe, his 3rd year in the league. It was the first year with Stefanski, where Stefanski got COVID and had to watch the game from his basement. And also former Viking coordinator Mike Prefer was the interim head coach for that game. But shouts out Prefer. But I just think it's going to be one of those games. Both teams look good. I think Jaden Daniels is going to walk away from this game looking like this guy is the real deal. But Baker, the experience last year with the big win over the Eagles, who were considered a better team than them last year, the win over Pittsburgh in 2020 with the Cleveland Browns. Like Baker just has that dog mentality, and the knock on him in Cleveland when he's immature. What Cleveland said when they got rid of him and brought in Deshaun Watson. We need a mature adult in the room. Well, how's that going for you? I think they would take Baker Mayfield back in a heartbeat, and I think Baker gets it done. I think both of these teams are grooving here at the end of the season. I think they both got a lot of momentum going into this game, but I just think the experience with the Bucks, I think that the fire that Baker brings, I think the Commanders they're playing a little ahead of their skis, like a rookie quarterback. Dan Quinn obviously took the Falcons to the Super Bowl, so he's got experience as a coach. But new regime, new ownership, new GM, new coach, new quarterback, all this turnover, winning 12 games. I don't think anyone had that on the menu, and I think it's going to stop here. I think the Bucs are going to pull it out. A game-winning drive from Baker. Maybe it's a touchdown, maybe it's a field goal, but it's just I think there's good juju there too. With they turn the Saints over, get the ball back. All they got to do is kneel on the ball, and they're going to the playoffs. And they said we're putting the ball in the air, risking that a pretty damn good pass defense in the New Orleans Saints might pick this off and fuck this whole thing up and knock us out of the playoffs. Granted, it didn't matter because Atlanta still ended up losing the fucking game because it's the Falcons. Cashing a 8 wins exactly bet for your boy, $10 to pay out $70. Thank you, Kirk Cousins. Just Kirk Cousins is going to win 8 games. That's just the way it is. Even if he gets benched, they're winning 8 games. So that is what it is. But they put the ball in the air, so we're getting Mike Evans is going to get this 5 yards. He's going to get this 1,000 yards. And they celebrated Mike Evans harder than they celebrated the turnover that was going to put them in the playoffs. I think that's good juju for the team. They play together. They play for each other. And it's going to be a great game. But Baker's going to get it done.
They play together. They die together. Buccaneers for life.
I think, and like ultimately, I know my prediction went the other way, but I think Baker deserves it more than anybody. Like I was just like, I'm a big fan of the guy. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it feels like he's matured. Whatever they thought he was,
I think
he's the man.
He became a father.
I think I think he just takes it seriously. Like I think that he takes it seriously. He proves his heart, and he's just like I said before, he's got a great story. Like he has trials and tribulations and ups and downs, and been shopped around, and he found a system that appreciates him, and like you said, like they're playing for each other. So I think that it's very likely that they take this and go much further. But I don't know. I'm still seeing it in my mind's eye. I'm still seeing that.
Wouldn't be surprised either way.
Goal.
Would not be surprised either way in this game.
Leave it to the Browns to, get rid of the only quarterback that looks like their fucking elf mascot.
To bring in a rapist.
Yeah, like
who just tore his Achilles again.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, like karma is real, baby. Like so there's no more discussion. Karma's a thing. It exists. This motherfucker.
With that said, Kirk Cousins will be the Cleveland Browns' day 1 starting quarterback next season.
That is a great prediction, and I'm not behind it in support. Poor Kirk, but I'm behind it in the fact that I think it might happen.
I think it's a city that it fits his personality. They can get him for the veteran minimum like Pittsburgh did with Russell Wilson this year because Atlanta's still going to be on the hook for paying that gigantic fucking contract, while the Browns are on the hook for paying Deshaun Watson's gigantic fucking contract. So you get a guy in who knows the offense. He had probably his second best career year with Stefanski as his play caller with Minnesota. So they know each other. It's a good fit for everyone, but alas, the Browns suck and are not in the playoffs. So doesn't matter. We can talk about that in the offseason.
They should have kept Flacco.
Flacco wasn't looking any better this year than anybody.
Of course, it's the
maybe
Colts.
better than
It's the
Dorian
Colts.
Thompson Robinson.
It's the Colts. The Colts, they don't look better anyways because they're one of those franchises that don't do shit to get better. So, whatever. Next.
We got one game left on the schedule. Monday Night Football in the playoffs. Not a fan. I think it's complete and utter bullshit. Why you got to do my boys like this? The league knows what they're doing. Any way that they could try and fuck the Vikings, they will do it, and that's what they did here by putting us on Monday night. This game will be played in Glendale, Arizona because of the wildfires out here. I can confirm the AQI is high, but for Vikings fans, so are the vibes, but not really. The vibes are very low among Vikings fans because we have terrible sports PTSD, and most of these people are convinced that they're going to fuck this up. But the LA Rams, 10-7, hosting in Glendale, Arizona, where there will probably be more Vikings fans than Rams fans, hosting the most prolific wild card team in the history of the National Football League. The 14-3, my Minnesota Vikings. Rams, Vikings, Tanner, who you got? You know who to pick, baby. You know who to pick. Tell them who's going to win this game.
So it's obviously the Rams. No, I'm definitely picking the Vikings. I mean, I think ultimately, I've said this to you, obviously, but I've also said it to anyone who will listen, because nobody talks about the Minnesota Vikings this season. It's like nobody fucking even remembers that they exist, even though they literally a week ago just played for the number 1 seed and the division win. They had the exact same record as the Lions. You're welcome from the Buffalo Bills. And like they have like the best fucking story this season. Like fucking rookie dies, rookie quarterback all-star gets an injury before preseason even starts. That takes him out for the entire fucking season. And you've got a DUI for what? Who was it? Was it Naylor? Who got the DUI? Anyway, it was a bit. Oh yeah, okay. And there's just all these things are coming out that it's just like it's all capped with a cherry on top with like Sam Darnold's going to be their starter, and it's just like Jesus fucking Christ, like this is not going to go well. Poor Kyle. Like I literally had that thought. Like I was just like, this poor dude has to endure a really probably very mediocre season, and they have just absolutely dominated no more or less than the top teams in this league on both sides of the conferences. Like they are among the top 3 elites in both conferences, I think. So like I just think that they have the coolest story, the most inspiring one, the one where it came from they're going to, I mean, it mirrors a little bit the Bills, but like there was even more compelling shit happening from a storytelling perspective. But like in that, like the Bills were like it was a rebuild year, nothing was going to happen. We weren't even going to make the playoffs, as all the talking heads. And then, whatever happens. The Vikings, though, the difference is nobody gave a shit when you guys were just fucking balling out, right? Like everyone gave a shit that the Bills were doing it. Like the Bills are at the top of the conversation all the time. And the Vikings,
about Mahomes and the Chiefs winning games. It's like
right?
before they talk about the Vikings,
right? Like the Chiefs had the most mediocre season in the world in terms of the context of it, but they happened to, lose 2 games. So like but it's same fucking record up until same record. They ended up losing. No, they only lost 2 games. You're right. Bills and Broncos. That's funny. Anyway, point is, it's like they had this like epic season that no one gave a shit about. It was almost like they didn't exist. And now for the worst reason in the world, like they're the 5 seed, which makes no sense. Like it's not an upset if the Vikings beat the higher seeded Rams, right? Like it's like the Vikings are favored for a reason. The Vikings have had a stellar season. Sam Darnold has found his temporary place with the Minnesota Vikings. There's no chance in hell he's staying after this, I don't think. But at the end of the day, he leads them to a fucking Super Bowl. He could still have some life left. It doesn't really matter, though. What matters is that right now, Sam Darnold's playing the best ball of his life. He's got Jets. He's got,
Addison,
supporting cast. He's
Hawkinson, Speedy Naylor, Aaron Jones in the board.
I wasn't even just going offensively because yes, 100%. But he's got a supporting cast of both sides of the ball. It's complementary football to the T. Like you guys have every fucking piece that needs to be there when Sam Darnold's playing his best ball.
Number 2 sack duo Andrew Van Ginkel should be Defensive Player of the Year, and Jonathan Grenard.
Is he all pro?
He better be.
Okay.
He might
They
be
announced it
second team.
today.
He'll probably be because they're going to give it to Trey Hendrickson because the Cincinnati Bengals they got a great team, but they just can't win games. I don't know why.
Or make the fucking playoffs. Anyway, yeah. So I think ultimately they are a dominating team. I don't see any path for them to not win this game. I don't want to say easily because it's playoff football, but there's no path for me that they don't win this game in the context of controlling the game. Don't care if it's close. They're going to control the game. They're going to win the game. Also, it is important to say that this is not in LA. Like that kind of matters. It matters a lot in other cities. LA, I mean, I don't know how many fucking
Not a football
diehard Rams
city.
fans are there. You know what I mean? Like is that real? Like are do they have a fan base? I don't know. But point is, so in most cases that would make a big difference. I still think it makes a difference. I still think there's a psychological element to it. Like these
Well, it
guys
now
do this
becomes
every year.
both teams have to travel. So, like, if you play for the Rams, you don't have to travel. Now you got to travel.
Now you have to
It's
travel.
a short flight, but it's still you're in a hotel room and you got to go through
100%.
all the
Like I
motions.
think it's psychological for these guys. They do this every year. They do their away schedule. They do their home schedule.
How many of
There's a
these dudes
different
got
approach.
houses? Like people, a lot of these people will live in Woodland Hills or one of these other. Like these people might have the fires on their mind. Like they got family in the area or whatever the case may be. Like Kawhi Leonard, obviously he's a basketball player, but he left practice because he had to evacuate his family. Like
Oh yeah. No, it's a crazy fucking thing that's happening in LA right now, and it's horrible. But that's not what we're talking about. It's still a factor. It still is. It's something that, like to your point, it very well could be in their mind. But either way, they're both having an away game, and that is important to notate. And I just don't think I think any advantages that the Rams might have had, they've lost. And it's Vikings all the way, baby.
all right, Caesar, you gonna do the right thing or the dumb thing here?
I just got a question for you.
Be a smart man.
What do you think the Disney celebration is going to be for the Vikings once they win this game?
What the what is? You're
The
low
Disney
again.
shit, my bad. I have one question. What do you think the Disney celebration for the Vikings is going to be once they win this game?
I don't know. I've been waiting for a full scale Civil War reenactment from the defense. That's where I really want to see.
Did we lose Tanner?
Maybe. Keep going. He spoke his piece. You can go. We'll sort
Well,
it
either
out.
way, it's the Vikings' game to lose. If they lose this game, it's because the Vikings lost it for themselves. I have zero doubt in my mind that they are going to be able to win this game against the Rams. Not because the Rams are a bad team. It's just simply that the Vikings have been a better team all season, and they are a better team. And unless, this fire motivates the Rams into doing something for their city, I don't know. It's like you said, mentality thing can be a double-edged sword. Maybe it can affect you negatively, or they can give you some motivation. So, hopefully everybody in that team and at that franchise and that club has their family safe from these fires. But that might motivate them just to do something for their city, or that might just be too much for them to handle mentally, and it's not going to let them, be a good team on that field. It doesn't matter either way because at the end of the game, at the end of the day, the Vikings, in my opinion, are still a much better team than the Rams. So yeah, I can't wait to see them celebrate and do some dance moves from I don't know my favorite movie. I don't know which one, but I can't wait for that. Vikings, yes, I'm picking Vikings.
All right. It is important to note that these two teams played in Week 7.
And the
I
Rams.
take that back. Week 8 in Los Angeles, where the stadium was about 50-50 Vikings fans, Rams fans. The Rams are one of two teams that the Vikings lost to this year, the other being Detroit, who they lost to twice. It's also worth noting that when they lost to the Rams earlier this year, they played Detroit the week before, as they will have on this occasion. But it's also worth noting they played the Rams on a Thursday night. Thursday night, you play at that point a fully healthy, with the exception of Aiden Hutchinson, who obviously is a difference maker, but a pretty much fully healthy Detroit team that physically beats the shit out of you. You play them, and then you got to turn around, 3 days rest, fly to the West Coast, play the Rams. This week, they play them on a Monday night, which means they get an extra day of rest after playing a much more beat up Detroit team that is not as physically punishing. They don't have David Montgomery, or they didn't have David Montgomery to hammer you in the face and then let Jahmyr Gibbs do crazy Jahmyr Gibbs shit. So you're not as beat up as you were in that first matchup. You got an extra day of rest as opposed to 2 days fewer rest or 3 days fewer rest. So I think that is a factor. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp had been out prior to the previous Vikings game. They did not think Puka Nacua was going to play. They were not prepared for Puka Nacua to play. They know Puka Nacua is playing, so they're going to have a bit. At least, I'm not saying you're going to stop Puka Nacua because Puka Nacua is a freak, but they're going to have a better plan in place to deal with Puka Nacua. I would also point out, I feel like we think of the Rams as like, oh, McVay, he's rebuilt the run game here the past couple years. They've been running the ball with more consistency. Kyron Williams has been a fantastic running back. Their offensive rushing numbers, not tremendous. Not tremendous. They are, where was the yards per carry? They are second to last. They average only 3.9 yards per carry. And guess what? You're going up against the second best run defense in football. So are the Rams going to be able to get it done on the ground? The stats would say not so much. Offensively, now in the passing game, I will say Stafford has done as well as he has in his career not turning the ball over this year. Both these teams are fairly not high mid pack in terms of completion percentage. Rams mid pack passer rating on offense, and defensively, like I said, the Vikings got the best or the second best run defense in the league. They got, I guess, what are they tied for 11th in yards per attempt allowed on defense, whereas the Rams are 28th, 27th in yards per attempt allowed. Defensive passer rating, Vikings second best in the league at 82.4, behind only the Detroit Lions. The Rams are 25th in defensive passer rating allowed. So Rams defense can be had. You can run on the Rams defense, and the Vikings don't have the most dominant run game. God knows they don't have a dominant run game inside the fucking 5-yard line, and it leads to 11 of 14 attempts through the air inside the 10. And if Sam Darnold is off, then he's off, and it is what it is. But they should be able to run the ball better against them than they did against Detroit. They should be able to pass the ball better against them than they did with Detroit. And I feel like there's this prevailing thought with the national media Muppets, because they came into the year, people were picking the Rams to go to the championship game. People were picking the Rams to go to the Super Bowl. And so the Rams started out not good. They got hot at the end of the season. They might be the hottest team in football here to end the season in terms of just sheer win streak numbers. But you look at the cumulative stats, they are a mid-pack team. They are a 10-7 team. You look at the numbers, the Vikings are a top 5 team, a top 6 team at the very least. They got the pieces. People are going to say they got blown out by Detroit last week. You look at the final score, maybe that's what it says. But at the end of the day, it was a one-score game through 3 quarters. They held the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, a historically great offense. At the time, the 1998 Vikings set the record for most points scored in a single season. This Detroit Lions team averaged 1.5 points per game less than that team. This is a top-tier Detroit Lions offense. They held them to 10 points at halftime, 17 points through 3 quarters. I don't care what the final score says. How did the game look defensively for the Vikings until all hope was lost? This is a serious Vikings defense. They turn the ball over more than anybody in football. They have 24 interceptions this year. Matt Stafford has taken care of the football. He's only thrown 9 interceptions, but he's going to throw one on Monday night. He might throw 2. As is custom, I will not pick the Minnesota Vikings game, but I'm telling you right now, this is not the same situation that it was back in week 8 when these two teams played. And these two teams are not on the same level. One team is clearly a level above the other team. And the team that is clearly above the other team is the Minnesota Vikings. So they should go into Glendale where there's a very strong contingent of Vikings fans because it's winter in Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. They don't want to be there for the winter, so they buy houses in Arizona. Ain't no LA. First of all, ain't no LA fans in LA. And second of all, they're worried about the fire. They ain't coming down here to this game. They leaving listen, I appreciate the football guys. We have the most prolific wild card team in the history of the National Football League that deserves a home game. They couldn't get a home game. The football gods say, you know what? It's going to be a neutral site game. I don't like that my city had to burn to the fucking ground for it to happen. Thoughts and prayers to all the people out there. And the city needs to get their infrastructure straight because this shit happens every year, and yet they continue to cut the budget of the firefighters. But this is not a political show. The Minnesota Vikings are set up. They should win this game, silence some doubters. You beat one of the two teams that you couldn't beat throughout the season, and then it's only the Lions. The Lions are the only team that they will have played that they have not beaten. And at least according to Cesar, they'll get a shot next week. Minnesota Vikings are a better team than the Rams. They should win this game. I'm not gonna say it shouldn't be close, but they should pull away at the end and win this game by 8 to 10 points. That's how I feel. Sam Darnold was gonna take us down the field. We were gonna win that game, and the no call on the face mask. I demand restitution. I want my restitution.
That was such a weird, he's right there in front of you. How are you not seeing
those
that?
Two refs looking right at him.
Staring from different angles.
Jesus.
I will say this too, Kyle, to your points, is that like ultimately, we're
winning this game. Damn it! I don't want to hear anything about it.
You're not picking.
This is not an official pick, but we gotta go. We gotta win this damn game.
Okay,
we gotta bounce back.
So
this is our time.
There is no reason.
Go Vikes!
To me, there's no reason, with the talent that the Rams have, there's no reason they can't win the game. The thing is, they're not going to win it, and it's because they're just outmatched in that talent. So,
KOC's coming for blood.
100, and that was going to be my point, is that
Arnold Schwarzenegger is coming back. T1000 upgrade, baby. I know Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't the T1000, but Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's coming out. Listen, the Rams, I don't know if it's a predatory animal. They don't seem very predatory, but if they were predators, like the Predator, Arnold Schwarzenegger is taking his ass.
They can be aggressive.
Vikings use the horns of Rams for different things. So
they put that shit on their helmets.
Tail as old as time. It's a great point. Fantastic.
Yeah. It reminds me, I was going to make a joke earlier, and this is not about the Bills. It's about the Vikings. I was going to make a joke that, you know who rode Broncos till they couldn't stand anymore, and that was Buffalo Bill, baby. And I was really excited about it. But
it's a good way to pick football games.
Anyway. So 100% Rams can win this game. They are capable of doing it. They have the talent to do it. They're just not going to, because the coaching is going to be at a level, I believe, that is going to take them one notch above whatever is thrown at them. I think that KOC is in his prime at this time. I think that's just what it is, man. You got the pieces. There's a lot of coaches out there that have the pieces and can't do jack shit, and he's proven otherwise. Time and time again. This is not the game that it goes haywire. It's just not. It's both teams are fully capable. Vikings are going to have no problem, whether that's 3 points, 7 points, 2 points with a safety. I don't give a shit. It's going to happen.
Whatever happens, the divisional round is going to be nuts in this division, in this conference.
Dude, you also said this earlier that like this might be the best playoff in a long time, field in a long time. Like they're like every game, like there's no game that's like just a given. Like even like I would say
Steelers Ravens is a given, obviously.
Shut the fuck up. No, but it's not though, because regardless of your points, which are valid, it's still a divisional fucking game. Like it's not
out the window.
It is not. It's not a given. Like, and even the Broncos Bills. Like, I still don't like. 100% Bills are winning this game, but like, it's. I don't think it's even necessarily a given from a unbiased perspective. Like, there's just no matchup in this series of playoff games that feels like that. Okay, I mean, that would be the upset of the century. There's no upset of the century this time around. It's just not a factor. There could be upsets, but there's no like, oh my God, that's crazy. Like, I just don't see that. I think that every game potentially could go either way from a broader perspective. Doesn't mean they're going to, but
I will say this one real quick on the Vikings. I think them losing that game to Detroit could be a blessing in disguise. I know that sounds like bullshit fucking sports media talk, but it shows you that they were on a 9-game win streak. It shows you there's things that need to be fixed, and if you don't fix them, you're fucked. And so if they're going to get them fixed and I wouldn't call it a trap game when you're playing maybe the best team in football, but because you know what the stakes are. But if you're going to get shit fixed and go on a run, you might need to be exposed at a certain point. Like they're not at the point where like they can just ride this through. Like they're not that good and battle tested of a team to just like win 15 games in a row or whatever the case may be. I guess it would be less, 13, 12, I guess if they won it would have been 10. So yeah, 13 games. But so we'll see how it pans out. But I do think every once in a while, certain teams, you need a wake-up call, and they definitely got a wake-up call. And I do think Dan Campbell, when they greeted each other at midfield after the game, Dan Campbell leans in. He's like, "We'll see you in 2 weeks, man." He's right, but also little trying to get into his head, like, "Oh, I better see you in 2 weeks. You gonna get your shit together, buddy?" So we'll see. But I believe in KOC. I believe in the Minnesota Vikings.
See, Dan Campbell should have shut his mouth because this season has been seen of if you talk, if you like do like pep talk and like if, trying to bring up your opponent that you just beat, then you start sucking the next week after. So hopefully.
I wish we could talk about those 1-seed teams. By the way, to that exact point.
Like, we will, because we got to end with Cesar and who's on bye and does it benefit them or not. So
okay, sure.
Yeah. Obviously, the 2 teams are the 1-seed for each conference. First of all, from the AFC, we got the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Kansas City Chiefs, do they really benefit from this bye? What do they get from it? I mean, they had a bye week last week when they just decided not to show up against, the Broncos, and they said, beat us, we don't care. So basically, they're just resting. So good for them. I don't think they're gonna pass the divisional round. I'm pretty sure they're gonna be eliminated. There's not gonna be a beat, so let them rest. Is it gonna be beneficial? No. They are not the best team in the AFC, even though they have the best record. I don't think so. On the other side, we got the Detroit Lions with the 1 seed. Yeah, it's beneficial to them. They can rest because they're banged up to all hell. So they need that extra week off to get players set up and try to get some strategies going around all these injured players. So good for them. But when it comes to it down the line, we really need to make sure that Dan Campbell does not fuck things up with his own team, like he has a habit of doing sometimes.
I think it works out much more often than it backfires. He's a vibes coach, man. I love a good vibes coach.
I mean, I love Campbell. I love his philosophy. I love the whole
gotta feel the vibe,
motivation. But this is the playoffs.
I've never seen.
You can't take risks like that.
But I've never seen a team go for it on fourth down and succeed more than the 2024 Lions. Like it's and not just succeed on accident or wow, they almost didn't pull that off. Like succeed in a way that is just superb. Like there were so many fourth down plays, and I'm like, that was so fucking well done. And I'm sorry that it had to be against the Vikings that I'm using this example from, but like there was multiple versions of this where I'm just like, that was just like it was so good. And so like my thing though with Dan Campbell is that like, yes, most aggressive coach that's well known, and it does work out a lot of times, and it's smart. Like it's not like they're just accidentally getting them to work. It's like his aggression is paying off because they're smart. However, I think in the playoffs he is going to bite off more than he can chew with his aggression. I think it will backfire in a way that won't make him look bad as a coach. It'll just be like, yeah, it can't work every time, but it's going to be the one moment where it's like, now you're out of the fucking playoffs. Like, I think the Lions have every fucking right to be in the Super Bowl this year, but so do other teams. And so I truly, it just, my gut is telling me that Dan Campbell's going to make a decision that is going to cost them the Super Bowl.
No risk it, no biscuit.
No, for sure. But it might go the opposite way. He's going to make a decision that is asinine. Like when they went for the onside kick against the Bills, like in like the beginning of the fourth or whatever, like it was just like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't understand this at all. But and it did not work out at all for them. But that wasn't an important game necessarily. So I just think something like that could happen, or it could be the exact opposite, where that's the reason they're in the Super Bowl and that's the reason they win it. But I have this weird feeling that like something's going to happen in the divisional round. They lose that game. They don't go to the Super Bowl or championship round. Sorry, I think they'll go to championships. But
Dan Campbell bited more than he can chew. Excellence was the worst.
Was it? I've been pulling everything I've said in my ass. I don't know anything about football.
Hey, I'm the new football fan, so I feel you.
Yeah. All right, we should land this plane because we are going way over time. But I guess the one last thing, does anyone have any non-pick predictions other than my non-pick prediction is that I'm going to be obnoxious when the Baltimore Ravens defense outscores Pittsburgh's offense on Saturday. Live on Prime Video.
I got one prediction. Jaden Daniels is going to miss more passes than he has completions.
We'll see. He's been very accurate. Bucks
Not
defense
against the Buccaneers.
Has not been great.
That's not on the Bucks defense. That's on Daniels. We would not handle the pressure of the playoffs.
Yeah.
My prediction is that Bo Nix throws a disastrous interception with less than 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter when they're on a comeback run. And it changes the fate of the game.
Here's a little prediction. Saquon Barkley gets stopped at the 1 yard line and Eagles score with Jalen Hurts.
That's literally every game. I don't know if that counts as a prediction.
I know.
All right,
it's remarkable that they're still able to do that, though. Just real quick, like the fact, like Jason Kelce was such a huge part of that.
He handpicked Jurgens. He handpicked his replacement for a reason.
Because here's the thing, like when Josh Allen does it, it makes perfect sense. You know, like it's like he is a fucking tank of a man as a quarterback. Hurts is not. You know, like he's a smaller guy, but he is, but like he's a smaller guy. So like you have to have those pieces. When you have to be able to do it.
When you have one of the best offensive lines in the entire league, you are going to be able to do that. I mean, they've gotten stopped.
Yeah, but there's my point was not this season. The reality of it was before the season. Are they going to be able to do that anymore? And they can, which to me is remarkable because of all the pieces they lost.
If you watch the tape and you see Cam Jurgens play, he's basically doing the same style of play that Kelsey was doing, like the way he tackles, the way he helps open up holes for the run, like he does for Barkley and Hurts. Like you can tell that Stoutland has his boys ready, and Stoutland being the offensive line coach for the Eagles, if anybody doesn't know. Um, and you can tell that Kelsey picked him for that specific reason. Jurgens plays Kelsey's game, and he learned it well. He keep an eye out, and he's being a great center. He had a horrible, horrible start to the season with that horrible snap that Hurts lost it. I believe it was either game 1 or game 2. I can't remember.
I think it was game 1. I remember this.
Yeah,
It was
and
just like, oh shit.
some people was like, "Oh, this is not Kelsey. This is it," you know. But then after that, he's just been on point. So good for the Eagles,
Hey,
man.
James Cook's first fucking run of his career, he fucking fumbled it for.
I have one more prediction here. This prediction is that this is the end of the show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Like, subscribe. Please comment and tell us what we're missing, what the National Media Muppets should be talking about with your team that we need to be talking about on this show to be better than the National Media Muppets. Although, if it's not a playoff team, I don't want to hear about it. Save it for the offseason. Follow us on Instagram at Footballhead Show with 2 S's at Footballheads Show. You can follow Cesar on both Twitter and on Instagram at Noob Football Fan. Tanner, where can we find you on Instagram for the people to follow?
Please don't, but it's this
Okay,
is
don't
Boone
follow.
Country. This is Boone Country.
This is Boone Country.
At something.
We'll put it in the tags. But thank you for tuning in. I know it's a long show, but for all
It's the playoffs.
7 to 8 of you out there, shouts out to my dad. Shouts out to Co, listening possibly on his commute to work. This is fun. Let's see where we go. You guys, I want to read this off here to end the show. If everything goes as you guys predicted, Cesar, you have Chargers versus Bills, Chiefs versus Steelers in the divisional round. Tanner, you have Chargers versus Bills, Chiefs versus Steelers as well. Cesar, you have Lions, Vikings 3, and the Eagles versus the Bucks 3 in terms of playoff matchups in the last 4 years. Tanner, you have Lions versus Commanders, and the Eagles hosting the Vikings in what would be a horrible week for me in a mental health standpoint. But again, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the playoffs. Drink many beers. Eat pizza. Eat wings. Have fun. Be
God bless
responsible.
football.
Skol Vikings.
Go Birds.
Skol Vikings. Go Bills. And for one night only, go Birds.
That's right.
Go Birds. Go Birds.